Greetings, fellow gorehounds, and welcome back to another Blood Splattered vlog. I'm the Horror Guru.
And I'm Count Jackula.
And we just watched Hush, the new film by Mike Flanagan, the director of Oculus and Absentia, which is a director I really like, and his new movie ended up on Netflix a few months ago, so we figured it's about time to catch up on it, because we have not seen it yet, and it's pretty fucking good. I loved it.
Yeah. We heard very little about this movie.
And I'm glad I did. I feel like this is a movie where you could easily give away way too much.
Yeah, it is. And it's appropriate that we didn't hear too much about the movie. It's called Hush.
Yes.
And it's about a deaf mute woman whose home is invaded.
Yep. Absolutely. It's a home invasion movie, but the twist is the main character is deaf. So a whole lot of the usual home invasion stuff they can't even hear, which adds a layer of tension to the movie that wouldn't have been there otherwise.
Yeah. It allowed them to do a lot of stuff that you don't normally get to do in a slasher movie, like watch the killer do shit.
Yes.
Because usually if you see the killer do stuff, then you're following the killer.
Yeah.
And you got that problem of like, well, if the killer's right there, why didn't they hear him?
Yes.
And they don't have that problem in this movie.
Well, in this case, she literally can't.
Yeah.
So even when he kills someone like right next to her, and she doesn't even hear it because it's happening in another room where she can't even hear the vibrations of what's going on, you know. So
yeah,
it was a really tense movie. He does a lot of great stuff with the sonic soundscape of the movie. He immediately brings you into the movie with like these really loud sounds of her cooking, and then like slowly eases us into her point of view where she can't hear any of it. And it's really great. It's
really great. Now, warning, something that I was a little bit worried about when I heard about this premise. There is sound in the movie. There's plenty of sound in the movie, actually.
Oh, sure.
In fact, the majority of the movie is predicated on the sound because she is deaf.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of times, not every time, but there are a lot of times when you hear shit that she doesn't.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which I thought was actually kind of brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's one of those like it's using a dynamite at the foot of the bed in a very different way.
Oh, absolutely. And they do it in small ways first, like establishing like, you know, the sound of her instant messenger that she doesn't hear and she doesn't notice until she sees it, you know. It's like really cool stuff because, you know, for a normal person, you hear it, you automatically go and check. Like that's what you do.
Yeah. And you start to realize how much of your understanding of your environment is based around sound.
Yeah, absolutely. And how much hers is different. You know, like the fire alarm goes off. She doesn't even notice until she can see it, you know?
Yeah.
You know, and she's got a blinking light on hers, which most people don't have that bright of a light on it, but she needs to see it, so.
Yeah, she needs to see it, otherwise it doesn't do shit.
Absolutely. You know, most people just have like the blinky red light, but it's not like blinding light.
Yeah. It's not like, ah!
Yeah, exactly. You know? But in her case, she needs it because she needs to be able to actually see when some shit's going down.
Yeah.
A lot of small things like that. Like little details, like the fact that her cell phone has like the generic ringtone, which, why would she change it?
Oh, I loved that. Yeah. I love that.
Why would she change it?
Yeah, it's just the standard.
Absolutely.
You know, and you just sort of sitting there and you're like, and the funny thing is like, I'm so used to, that ringtone not being in a movie because you usually replace it with something that tells you something about the character. But in this movie, the fact that it's unchanged also reminds you something about the character.
Absolutely. Most definitely. There's a lot of little cool moments because the killer we actually get to see the killer realize that she can't hear.
Yeah.
So then he starts doing things that he wouldn't normally do just because she knows that she can't hear him.
Yeah.
Like literally walking into the house while she's sitting on the couch and taking her phone, you know? And we see him all do this from like a shot of him doing it from behind. But you could tell that this guy would normally not do something that blatant. And
he wouldn't be that brazen normally, but here he feels like he can.
Absolutely. And I really like the killer in this movie. He's
he's
a
really
sadistic
good
motherfucker.
Killer, yeah.
What I liked about him is that he comes across like, oh man, so he's just kind of like a normal guy, but he's got like this sadistic, I gotta fuck with people side.
Yeah. I gotta fuck with people and murder them.
Yes, absolutely. They really emphasize the whole, like, this is almost like a troll kind of killer.
Yeah. He's not, he's, very dangerous, extremely violent.
Well, it's clear that it's not about the killing, though that's part of it.
Yeah.
It's mainly about seeing them react to what he's going to do to them. Which makes her a very special victim for him, because if he can get her to scream,
yes,
even though she's a deaf mute, if he can get her to react, then that's even extra special for him. So
yeah. It's all about watching, getting the reaction.
Yeah. So this is like a true cat and mouse movie too. And the other part about it is that she's not just deaf mute; she's also a crime writer. So she actually writes murder mysteries and things like that. So she comes up with like scenarios in her head all the time, which means she's constantly trying to one up the killer over the course of the movie, like playing out the movie in her head, and that leads to some really interesting moments.
It does,
absolutely. And what I like about it is that, unlike a movie like, say, Funny Games, which will have a scenario play out and then reverse it, this movie actually set up that she does that.
Yeah. There is spoilers. There's a moment in the movie where some of it is just her playing out the scenario in her head, and then essentially the movie rewinds.
But because the movie set it up, you kind of expected that to happen at some point.
Yeah. She talks about when she writes the ending of a movie. The ending of a story. It's like she sees alternate versions of the same movie playing in her head, and so when that happens in the film, you don't feel cheated. It's just part of the character.
Yeah, absolutely, totally set up. And they also set up the voices in her head talking, like figuring out the scenarios. And I like the detail that the voices in her head is the voice of her mom.
Yeah,
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, because it's the only voice she knows.
Yeah, because when she was a teenager and she lost her voice as like a 13-year-old, so she wouldn't really know what her adult voice would sound like. And so like when she talks in her head, it's her mom's voice coming out of her lips. It's really
cool. The thing, one of the things I really appreciate about this movie is it would have been really easy to make this kind of killer really pathetic, but he's not.
No. He's just he. What I like about him is that he's kind of innocuous in a weird way, but he's also just got this like there's just part about him that. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah. He's a unique killer.
Yes. He's not completely unintimidating, but he does come across like, oh man, so that's just our killer. But then he'll do things, and he'll be like, oh, actually, that is kind of creepy. Like that. There's like a moment where he's like got like a dead body, and he's like banging on the window, and he's just looking dead faced at her, and I was like, oh man, that actually is creepy.
Well, yeah, he's super sadistic. He's super sadistic, and the thing that I liked about him is he doesn't have the complete breakdown freak out. He just gets annoyed.
Yes. And I do like the moments where he like talks to dead bodies as if they're like still there.
Yeah.
And you can't tell, it doesn't really clarify whether or not he's crazy and actually hears the voices, or if he's just talking out loud and fucking with people. Like,
yeah.
And I like it. I like the guy. I kind of wish we got a little bit more of the mask he had at the beginning, because that mask was really creepy.
The mask is super creepy.
You can't tell if it's smiling, and I kind of like that.
yeah, but I felt it really. What I really liked is that when he did take it off,
yes,
you're just sort of like, oh geez, that's kind of what he looks like.
Yes,
for the most part.
And what I also liked about that is that when he took off the mask, it was one of those like, oh no, this isn't about killing at all. This is like, no, I'm gonna fuck with you. Like, that was great. This is absolutely great. Unfortunately, there's not too much to really talk about plot wise, because it's a very simple, condensed 90-minute thriller.
Oh yeah.
Like a 90-minute home invasion thriller. There's many beats that you kind of expect from other home invasion movies, but with a twist because the character's deaf. And with another twist because this is actually a killer that we do get to see. You do actually get to see who this guy is and stuff like that.
Yeah, you get to know a lot about him too.
Yes.
Not his past, but just what kind of person he is.
Absolutely. And they do that the characterizations of all the characters, even like the small ones that you only get like a few glimpses of.
Yeah.
It's actually really good. Like there's one character who shows up late in the movie who you kind of almost immediately can tell was like the jock in high school, or like, you know, who dated the pretty girl and then like you know, is probably thinking about marrying her or something like that. And you get all this just from looking at him in this one brief scene.
Yeah, this one brief scene where he knows he's being played, but he's underestimating this guy because he's small.
And that scene right there felt the most Hitchcockian scene to me.
It did.
Like watching those two play off each other where they both know, but they're pretending to not know. You know, and you're just waiting for the shoe to drop.
And then it does.
Yes, and then it does. In a very kind of predictable but also slightly unexpected way, and you'll understand when you see it.
Yeah. This I definitely would recommend this movie.
Yes.
You know, it's nice, it's short, it's tense as shit.
Absolutely. Well, it's the kind of like old school, just simple thriller that we used to make that we don't make as much anymore. You know? And it's still kind of high concept because the idea of a character being deaf throughout the movie actually does add a whole layer to it.
It does. It's one of those types of movies that I'm like, God, we don't make enough of this type of thing anymore. You know, because it's really good, a really good exercise in tension and just basic filmmaking.
Yep.
And this is gonna sound like a complete backhanded compliment, but it's not supposed to be. Which is Mike Flanagan excels at basic filmmaking. You know, he's really, 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 really good at creating a film out of very little.
Yeah. Well, he makes small concepts and elevates them to these big levels, but without ever like making them feel too big. Like if this had felt like a studio produced like big budget thriller, it would have kind of taken away from some of the
it absolutely would have. There's no way you could do this as like a big budget movie. It would be a little too weird.
It would be too overblown. You know? It'd be kind of like the kind of 90s thrillers that we used to make.
Oh God, yeah. Oh, God, some of those are so awful.
You know, whereas this movie, it was small, it was contained, it was tight, it was well written, and it was well acted.
Yeah.
So basically everything about this is done really well. So if you like those kind of simple thrillers, if you like home invasion movies, if you like Mike Flanagan, and this isn't as like crazy as some of the concept of his previous two movies. This is a much more stripped down movie, but this is still shows that this is a man that we gotta watch out for. He's gonna do big things.
Oh yeah. This guy's gonna. Hopefully, this guy will be around for a while.
I really hope so. Knocked it out of the park 3 times.
Yeah.
You know, Absentia was a great introduction.
Whoa, yeah.
Oculus was one of the better twists on like the Blumhouse like spooky ghost formula that I've seen them do. And this proved that even when you take away the crazy concepts, he's still an excellent filmmaker.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, I was really amazed that he was like, "All right, well, why don't we shoot ourselves in the foot right off the gate? Character's deaf."
Yes,
and it's like, what?
But here's the thing.
What?
That's one of those like necessity is the mother of invention things.
Yes,
it's like, okay, now the character's deaf. What does that mean next? Okay, so let's have the killer figure out she's deaf, and once he figures that out, what does he do then? You know, and then the scenario evolves from there, and then it becomes okay. Now that she figures out he's there, what does she do next? And then you just keep going.
It's really good that way.
Absolutely,
it's super good. Man, Mike Flanagan.
Absolutely,
man, thumbs up.
I totally give Hush a thumbs up. I don't know if it counts as a movie for this year. I don't know if it was released last year or this year, but
I think it was.
If it is,
I think it was released very early.
If it does count, this will probably be one of my favorite movies of the year. I like these kind of simple home invasion thrillers. I made a whole video about them.
Yeah. We still got to watch what was it, The Intruders?
Oh yeah, that's another one I'm looking forward to.
Yeah,
it's gonna have some big shoes to fill because this was really good.
Yeah, this was a really good movie.
Yeah,
this was really, really amazing.
So there you go. Check it out. Hush. It's on Netflix right now.
Pull up a chair, deep in the crib, from a blood red chalice, you must take a sip. Sit right back for a flick, see gore.
What? Oh.
Alarm fucking going off. That's funny because we just watched Hush. Someone's getting murdered over there.
Apparently.